Hello. So in the last part of our series, we are going to add the detail to our scene, as well as adjust the lighting, the shadows, and the overall camera. So let's start by adding the trunk of a tree that will have an axe inside. So we'll start with new cylinder, and we want the axis to be 8. It's green, so we need to change the color of it to be slightly brown. And of course scale it in the axis, and then in the y-axis try to scale it up. And here is a part of the trunk. We can again try to adjust the scale. The scale can be too much because we have other logs in the wall of our hat. So let's try to zoom in a bit to this model, and we'll select the bottom parts, and they need to be slightly bigger, so we are scaling them out because the tree trunks are always like that. We added some edge loops because we want to give this curvy type of shape. And what we are going to do now is select the top polygons and detach them from the object. So we are detaching them just to change the material color to some kind of cream color. So this is our cut trunk. Now we're going to create the axe. So we are adding first the part of the axe that is this handle, the axe handle. And yeah, it looks like that. We're going to change the color to, again, the wooden type of color. And yeah, we are duplicating it to form this part, this metal part. We're zooming in and changing to vertex mode and scale them up, those parts. And now we're going to collapse the top and bottom parts because we want the shape of this metal to be going together inside. We added the edge loop, and we are going to change the color to some metal type of the silver, or silver type of the X. We are adding it to a container so that we can move it all together. Yeah, the center point is set to 0, 0, 0, which isn't good for us. So we need to figure out how to rotate the part in a better way. Here, this version of Polydust, you could not do it easily. So yeah, finally I was able to select just this part, and what I'm doing now is I'm going to select both of these and now rotate them and place them inside of this trunk. Yeah, we want this feeling of like the carpenter was here and he just left his axe inside of this trunk. This kind of winter type scene. Yeah, it's gonna be on the edge. It's going to look very interesting, and in general, like this scene is a scene where people are living, or were living, because we are in the winter now, so probably no one is inside of the hat. But this is already adding a very nice detail to the scene. And the next detail we're going to build is going to be a log that is supported by two planks. And this is a log that someone was to cut. So first we are going to create the log itself. We could actually duplicate the log that was in the hat, but I think first, yeah, we are starting with the supporting logs. So we are creating this log, zooming into it by double tapping and slightly rotating it in one axis. And we are going to duplicate it and place another one just next to it. Yep, like this. We want the angle to be like we could place some big log in between of them, and of course they need to cross each other like this, and they can't be inside of one another because this is not how the logs would be done in the real life. So we have those two supporting logs, and let's create a container out of them. When I'm trying to select, I'm also selecting different things that I'm not interested in. Change the color a bit because it doesn't look so much like a wood. Yep, this one is better. Let's position it somewhere in the scene and duplicate those two supporting logs. And now let's create the log in between of them. So I'm just going to copy the one that is here, and I'm going to rotate it in this axis. Yep, and scale it and place it in between. And this is like the log I've been talking about for the dwarf or the carpenter to cut. Yeah, the only thing missing is that the end of the log should also have different color. So what we are doing here is we are detaching the middle part and we are changing the color to brown while leaving white or creamy color to the end of the log. Yep. So we have two different colors on one model. This is like the hack that we can do right now. Now looking at the scene from different perspective, what we can achieve here. Yeah, we don't want the terrain to be selected. So let's unselect it. Yep, we've frozen the plane so that it's unselectable right now. So whenever we'll try to select the logs, we're just going to select those logs. Yeah, we are trying to position them to form a better composition in general. Yeah, this looks good. So the next step will be a pile of logs that will be placed next to the hut. So this is again the supporting kind of wood that is going to be keeping those bigger logs from not falling out. So we are like going to place 4 of these. And this is going to be even supporter for the supporter. It's giving this realism to the scene, and we always want to have the scene as realistic as possible. So here's going to be the first log for us in between of them. Yeah, some of them can be just below the snow. And here we're going to place more logs, one next to another, on the top also. Yeah, zooming in because it's better to focus them. Yeah, placing log on the log, changing the scale as well. Yeah, even more logs. Just make sure not to place the logs inside, move them a bit. We don't want to have them too even one to each other. They need to be kind of placed in different positions. This is important. And now we're selecting all the logs. And again, we are going to change the color to the cream. And now we're going to just select the middle ones, detach it, and change the color to the brown one so that we can have this 2 different colors for one model. They are actually separate models right now. And moving forward, we're going to add a few of the supporting logs to the foundation because this is also going to build some realism to the scene. And even more logs. Yeah, like the roof module supporters. There are those small slight details that are making the scene look more believable. People are never really analyzing it in that detail, but just by looking at the scene, they will tell you if it looks good or not. And those small things, in my personal opinion, add a lot to the kindiness of the scene. So we changed again to the orthographic mode to see the final scene. We're adding just a bit more snow to those new details that we added. So we're adding a bit of snow to this log here and just forming some nice looking snow pile on top. Like some parts should have more snow and some of them should be just with less snow in general. And a bit more snow to this pile of the logs, because if there was no snow it would look like those trees were moved recently. So yeah, we are just moving some vertices and trying to form something that will look realistic. Adding some edge loops. It just needs to be organic looking snow. Like I'm doing it very randomly, just trying to form something and then duplicating it, rotating it slightly, scaling even, or placing it more inside. Yeah, we don't want to spend too much time on doing those small details. And a bit more. We scaled this form, this nicely looking, and placed it in the log. Yeah, we're also slightly improving the snow on the stairs. And it's starting to form the final look of our scene already. Let's add some trees to the composition, because we can see that there are some empty spots in the scene. So we duplicated one of the trees. Now we're duplicating even more to form more shadows there, because we were having a very empty part just behind the hut. So next thing would be to change the directional light settings, the intensity. We want it to be slightly more visible. Also, we want to change the ambient occlusion and ambient color to be darker, because then the shadows are more dark, because the ambient is not adding to the shadows. And changing the rotation, trying to find something that will make the scene look nice. So intensity of the light again. This is like personal taste settings. I added the blue. I'm trying to check if the reflection adds something. And again, trying to change background, but background is not visible here. And slightly dimming the blue. Trying to adjust it for a nicely looking effect. It's looking too much fairy tale, and so we need to change the threshold a bit. And now it's starting to form something interesting already. I'm moving the camera a bit, trying to place it so that it looks interesting. I think the scene is complete now, and the last part would be just to adjust the camera and adjust the light and the effects. So I'm trying to find something, some position of the camera that will make it look nicely. And it's not an easy process. We want it not to be too empty. I'm again trying to increase the shadow intensity, because this will add more content to our final composition. Trying to move the camera. I think this tree needs to be moved a bit because it's too close to the camera in general. So I'm duplicating it again, and yeah, placing it just outside so that the scene is not just in the camera, it's also somewhere outside, so it looks like bigger scene. This shadow will add us this this feeling, and also this tree is also adding that. So some shadows are coming from models that are not in the scene, and this is almost there, looking final. And that's the final result.